Nana was a little girl who grew up in a poor village. Her parents tragically died in a car accident, so she had to live with her aunt. Despite every day working tirelessly on the rice fields, she always managed to stay in the top students at school, even got herself a scholarship to one of the most prestigious schools in the city. However, her uncle was furious to find out about it. He didn't allow her to study in the city. The man even shredded the scholarship certificate and held at her, saying what a woman could do was to work outside the fields and get married. Despite truly caring about Nana, it was certain that her aunt would not have enough money for the girl to afford good education in the city, so the only thing she could do was to comfort Nana. Therefore, the young girl had to put aside the thoughts of having an education in the city, or to be more precise, had to keep working as the family was counting on her since her uncle was an alcoholic, day and night drinking with his friends. Moreover, it was the outdated stereotype of the villagers saying women shouldn't focus much on studying, as their job was to take care of the family that held her back. That day, as Nana returned home from the fields, she saw a strange person being in her house. It looked like her uncle was having a conversation with the man. They were up to doing something fishy as they saw Nana. Seeing Nana walked in, the uncle didn't hell or scold her the way he usually did. This time, with a sweet, gentle voice, he told the girl to take a shower, then have a meal with him. He even put his hands on her shoulder and asked if she was tired from work. Seeing the gentle behavior of her uncle, Nana couldn't believe her eyes. The way he acted was so strange to her. At first, Nana was having doubts about her uncle, yet she no longer bothered about it, as she thought he might encounter some good luck today. That night, Nana couldn't sleep, as she thought about the school that she had ever dreamed of studying there. She had fought so hard to get that scholarship. As Nana was thinking about it, she suddenly heard a noise from her cousin's room. The young man was paralyzed from an early age, and it was the reason why Nana had to do everything in her home. Struggling to sleep, she got up, pulled the curtains aside, and went to check on her brother. The moment she checked on him, he looked so strange. His eyes were sunken and lifeless while the face was pale, but Nana was used to seeing this as his illness usually recurred. Then she pulled the curtains back. But as she looked outside the door, she was wondering if she should tell his parents about his condition. But if there was nothing bad with him, his uncle would go through the roof as she interrupted his sleep. Thinking of that, Nana quickly went back to sleep. As she drifted into her peaceful sleep, suddenly there was a creature slowly approaching her. It was red and looked creepy as it wiggled towards her. The creature wiggled towards her as Nana had just fallen asleep. Then the creature crawled its way onto Nana's forehead, which immediately awoke her. As Nana opened her eyes and looked up, she saw a long red worm wriggling in front of her eyes and immediately screamed in horror. Despite being scared, Nana quickly caught the bizarre red creature with her hands. As she grabbed the creature, it still tried to escape from her by wriggling constantly despite being squeezed tightly. At this moment, Nana could get a good look at it. The creature looked just like a worm in terms of size and shape, but the difference was that it had a leech. Thinking the creature was harmless, Nana tossed it aside. Suddenly, there was someone knocking outside. As soon as she opened the door, she saw a tall, big figure of someone in front of her. It was her uncle. As the moonlight shone upon him, he let out an evil smile, creepily looked at Nana. As Nana was still confused, from behind there were many red worms quickly approaching her. Together they attacked Nana, crawling onto her face, pierced their leeches, then started sucking her blood. The creepy creatures constantly sucked her blood as she let out a fierce scream and fell backwards. Not only was her uncle present at that moment, but also her aunt. It looked like the two had carefully planned this to happen without their grandnephew knowing anything about it. The aunt worriedly asked her husband if the creatures would badly harm the young girl, but he just coldly replied, "Losing some blood won't kill her. Our only concern now is that it would help save our child." Seeing Nana thrashing on the ground as the creatures sucked her blood, the aunt was teary-eyed, not daring to save her. The two coldly closed the door and left, leaving Nana screaming fiercely in the room. The uncle even locked the room in case of his wife letting the girl out. He even said that if Nana couldn't make it, it would mean that she had sacrificed her life to their child to live. It turned out that the man in black had given him a magic pill. One that swallowed it would allow the creepy creatures to come out, as they parasiticized other people and sucked their blood in order to make their host become stronger. The pill worked effectively indeed. The next morning, for the first time, Nana's cousin could sit up after being in a state of paralysis for over 20 years. And Nana, she had fainted due to her losing blood. Her face went pale and the whole body was covered with wounds. Hearing the voice of his son, the uncle couldn't be happier as he rushed to him. His son had become healthy now, and the man was shocked to believe that the pill was that magical. As the man was talking to his son, he didn't realize that under his feet was Nana, lying on the ground, moaning with pain. Due to her losing a lot of blood last night, she was emaciated. Her face looked exhausted, as if there was no strength left in her. Nana clearly knew that she was just a work tool for this family, so she didn't dare to quarrel with them. Despite being exhausted, she still kept on working. During the daytime, Nana had to work tirelessly on the fields, and when the night came, she had her blood sucked till weariness by the creatures. Contrary to the weary look of Nana, her male cousin was becoming healthy and strong. Now he could eat and walk on his own, just like a normal person. But aside from lying on his bed and playing outside, he didn't bother to help his parents at all, and the boy wasn't even grateful for what Nana had done for him. And Nana's tolerance had finally reached its limit, as one day she collapsed due to exhaustion after a hard-working day. The evil uncle threw Nana into the warehouse, leaving her being there alone. He didn't even bother to think of taking her to the hospital, as it would cost him money. A month had passed. The fact that Nana was no longer in the family didn't bother the uncle much, as once in a while his son would give him an amount of money. It was unknown how the young man could do that, since he didn't go to school or have a steady job. His parents also had a strange feeling about it, but it was no longer their concern since they had received a lot of money from his son. However, lately there were some bizarre things happening in the village. For some unknown reasons, the poultry of the villagers were dead without having any blood left in them. Rumors about the village being haunted by ghosts started spreading. Both Nana's uncle and aunt were worried about it. That day, their son came home with a great amount of money. Without being curious, the uncle was proud of his son and believed that he had made a good decision of choosing his son over Nana. As the two were having a conversation, the aunt immediately rushed out and howled, "The poultry were all dead!" Hearing his wife shouting, the uncle and his son rushed to the farm. All their poultry were all dead, without a drop of blood left in them. Seeing the scene before his eyes, the uncle's face immediately changed color. He turned out to his son and shouted, "Did you suck blood of these animals?" The young man was amazed by his father's question, saying that he had given up sucking blood, but his facial expression said differently. Then there were more and more cattle and poultry in the village dying for unknown reasons. The villagers started to spread the rumors about Nana's family, how they had treated her badly and killed her out of hatred. Also added that the ghost of Nana was still with them, haunting the villagers. As the villagers believed the rumor was true, they came to the uncle's house early in the morning to make things clear. Seeing the villagers gathering at his house, the uncle was immediately bewildered. The villagers didn't hesitate to ask him about the sudden disappearance of Nana, as they assumed there were some mysteries behind it. At first, the man lied to the villagers that Nana had come to the city for a study, yet immediately received criticism and threats from them, so he had no other choice but to tell the truth. He came to his wife and asked her to open the warehouse. The man tried to cover his sins by saying that the girl had been seriously ill and died from it. Since the family didn't have enough money to make a funeral for her, they had to leave her body in the warehouse. Hearing what the man said, the villagers bowed down, unable to hide the sadness on their face. They all loved Nana for being a gentle, well-mannered girl with kindness. But as the villagers arrived at the warehouse, they were shocked to find out that her body was nowhere to be found. The warehouse was completely empty, with no trail of Nana. This made the villagers even more into the ghostly stuff that they had believed in the first place. They assumed that Nana had displaced her anger on them for not having an appropriate burial. Since that day, the villagers had asked the shaman to remove the ghost, but it didn't work. The situation got worse, as some of the villagers were also bloodsucked to death. Many people had to leave the village and went to other places to start a new life. Only those who couldn't afford to do it had to stay, yet they lived in fear every day. One day, the remaining people in the village gathered to discuss a solution, but they couldn't find the cause of this tragic incident. 3 years later. That day, there were many people gathered at the headquarters of a construction company to apply for jobs. This was the first time a big company opened its business at the village, as it wanted to exploit the tourism resources the village possessed. A security guard opened the door. He requested the people to stay quiet, then went back inside to make a report to his superior officer. Since the introduction of these blood-sucking creatures had taken away the villagers' livelihoods, they had come to the company early in the hope of getting a job. A while later, the manager came out. Seeing the face of the female manager, the villagers were shocked and speechless. It was Nana, the girl who was thought to die 3 years ago. Seeing the bewilderment on the villagers, Nana started telling the story that had happened 3 years ago. That moment when she thought she was about to die in the warehouse, her aunt had sneakily given her some food and a small amount of money. Then she led her out and told her to go to the city and follow the address written in the piece of paper she handed to her, as it was the whereabouts of an old friend of Nana's parents. Later, Nana went to the city on her own. Luckily, the friends of her parents had taken her in and nourished her. Seeing the potential of Nana, they had allowed her to study at the school she always wanted to, then appointed her a good position in their company. As Nana finished telling her story, the villagers told her that they didn't see her aunt going outside recently. Also with her uncle, as they only saw their son. Nana was terrified to know that. She assumed that her aunt could be in danger. Then she rushed to her old home, to everyone's surprise. Nana opened the door and rushed in. She held out her aunt's name, but the scene in front of her was too terrifying to witness. Her aunt was lying on the ground, looking extremely pale due to losing too much blood, and the uncle was being pierced by the leeches from the creatures that parasiticized on his son. Her mind was empty. The only thing she knew was that her cousin had become a monster. However, it looked like the young man was being controlled by the creatures. They bred and took over control of his body. Finally, the uncle and his son had to pay for the sins they committed with their painful deaths, while the aunt died because of her weakness. The story focuses on a girl named Lily, who had a great passion for acting. When she was a kid, her wildest dream was to become a famous actress. Lily's closest friend was Anne. Since the two shared the same passion for acting, they were always very close to each other. The door opened. Someone from the film crew told the two to get inside to hear the result announcement. Both Lily and Anne were excited as the two were called at the same time, so it must be a good result for them. Anne had an advantage over Lily due to her pretty face. Lily, on the other hand, her face wasn't close to being ugly, but not being pretty either. This movie role had great significance to both of them. Since the role was about someone with average beauty, Lily was sure that she would be chosen for the role. Standing in front of them was the movie director. He was thinking, but couldn't make the final decision. The atmosphere was tense and nerve-wracking, but the final result was a huge letdown for Lily. With a cigarette in his hand, the director pointed at Anne, which surprised her. That day, Anne didn't perform well at the audition, and the movie role didn't suit her either. So when she was chosen for the role, she couldn't help but feel surprised. About Lily, she was angry with the director's decision. She approached him, slammed on the table and howled at him, asking why she wasn't chosen for the role. His answer surprised Lily. Even though the role was about someone with average beauty, we need an actress who looks good enough to attract viewers for the movie. The director also told her to give up her passion for acting, as she wasn't good looking enough to be an actress, and her look would not make her famous. The director's remark, together with the failed audition, made Lily furious. So with a small amount left of her savings, she decided to do plastic surgery at a disreputable hospital with the hope of changing her look. But the surgery was a huge failure. Anne was really worried for Lily. Every day she went to Lily's room, checking up on her, but Lily didn't care much. Actually, Lily hated Anne for taking the role which could have been hers. Eventually, not being able to hold in the great anger inside, Lily had expressed all her thoughts to Anne. She blamed Anne for causing her current state. Lily bowed down, looking painfully uncomfortable. The corner of her eyes was covered with stitches as she started to cry. Lily yelled at Anne, told her to get out of her sight. Even though Anne didn't want to leave Lily alone, she eventually had to do it. Lily couldn't think optimistically. Her mind was filled with negative thoughts. To her, not being able to be an actress was similar to death. With all of the negative thoughts in her mind, she went to the rooftop of the apartment building where she lived and stood on the railing, not trembling even a bit. She wanted to jump down from the tallest floor of the building to end her life. With this ugly face, she didn't want to live anymore. The moment Lily was about to jump off the railing, she heard a voice behind her. It was a woman who told Lily that she would help her to have a gorgeous face so she could continue to pursue her passion. The mysterious woman handed her a mask with an X sign on it. She told Lily that just by putting it on the face of anyone she wanted to, automatically their faces would become hers. Despite feeling suspicious about it, she still kept the mask and returned to her apartment, since it was her only opportunity for her. Anne appeared at the stairs. Initially, Anne wanted to leave for a few days, but she was worried about her friend, so she brought flowers and fruits for Lily. But contrary to Anne caring about Lily, as soon as Lily saw her, she smirked and let out an evil smile. Now, no longer being furious, this time,
Lily acted really happy, like nothing bad had happened between the two at all. She gave the mask to Anne and told her that it was a good face mask product. Anne didn't have any doubt. She took the mask thinking that Lily wanted to apologize, as she had said awful things when she got mad. Despite not doubting the kindness of her friend, the look of the mask was bizarre to Anne. But Anne didn't think much about it. She laid on a sofa and put it on without being hesitant. The mask made her feel really comfortable. In order to avoid being doubted by Anne, Lily told her to stay at the living room while her going to take a shower. But actually, she wanted to see how the mask would change Anne's face. She stood nearby a large mirror, stared at her reflection. Suddenly, Lily felt like her face was getting hot. Now Lily was anxious, as there were many scars on her face, but after a few seconds her face had turned into Anne's. Anne was in the living room, starting to lose her patience. She asked Lily if she could take off the mask, but Lily told her that the longer she used it, the smoother her skin would be. Anne didn't have any doubt about her friend. She patiently kept the mask on her face and waited for Lily to tell her to take it off, not knowing that her face was being swapped. Having possessed the face of Anne, the greediness in Lily became bigger as she wanted to keep the face permanently. But in order to do that, she had to make Anne wear that mask forever. While Anne was outside eating apples, she took a small torch and approached Anne. While her closest friend was laying unconscious, Lily hired 2 thugs to take her away and lock her in a warehouse not too far from the city to avoid being seen by the locals. The thugs had tied Anne to a chair to make sure that she couldn't take off the mask, and for that Lily could use her face at her disposal. Anne was panicking, not knowing the reason why she was tied up. As she looked outside, she saw a blurry figure of Lily, and at that moment she sensed what was happening to her. From that moment on, Lily, with the face of Anne, had successfully taken the movie role. Lily did a really good job with her role. One thing for sure was that Lily had amazingly embodied the character and made it flawless. Her co-stars also complimented her. The director was also satisfied with her performance. Before going home, her co-star reminded Lily of the important scene of the movie ending. Lily was satisfied with it. The movie scenes were carried out amazingly, and now she had to make sure that her secrets wouldn't be spoiled. Then, Lily came up with an evil idea. She wanted to kill Anne so she could possess her face permanently. She made a call to the 2 thugs, telling them to kill Anne. Now, at the warehouse, Lily reminded Anne of the pains that she had to go through. Knowing her life would be put in danger, Anne told Lily that she had trusted the wrong person. She couldn't believe that Lily would do such an awful thing to her. Not able to contain her anger any longer, Anne held at Lily, saying that she would haunt her if she died. Lily was surprised, but the monster inside her began to come out. Lily pulled out a knife, saying that she would kill Anne on her own. But Lily had no idea that Anne also had a small knife in her hand, and she would attack Lily if she approached her. Lily expressed all the hatred and jealousy in her. As the knife has touched her face, Anne screamed. Her eyes was filled with anger. She grabbed the hand which Lily was holding the knife. It turned out that when Lily was off guard, Anne had used a small knife to cut the rope and attack Lily. Anne was furious. She raised the knife in the air and rushed to Lily without any hesitance. Being unprepared, Lily fell backward. She didn't expect Anne to take control of the situation. Of course, Lily wouldn't be beaten easily. She quickly pulled the curtain on the side, intended to use it to defend herself against Anne. But the two got wrapped up by the curtains, however. They still kept swinging their knives as both of them couldn't see each other at all. The thugs were amused as they saw the two women fighting each other. They intended to watch for a bit longer, but Lily called them for help. Hearing the orders, the two approached them with the knives in their hand, and Anne was stabbed to death. The two thugs were told to clear all the traces and get rid of the body. It turned out that the winner of that day was Lily, but somehow, since that day, she began to act strange. She no longer performed well on the set, and the director wasn't satisfied with her at all. He held at Lily as he thought she didn't pay enough attention to her work. But every time it was like that, the owner of the movie's sponsor company stopped him from yelling at her as he was in love with the beauty of Lily. Of course, a movie wouldn't be made without a budget. The director had to listen to the main sponsor of the movie, and thanks to him, Lily still kept the role. However, not only did the director have a problem with her acting, but also her co-stars. Lily soon became the hot topic of the crew, and everyone started to dislike her. However, Lily still acted friendly to all of them, and surprisingly, the conversation in the car had explained it all. It turned out that the survivor that day was Anne, not Lily. While Lily was away, the two thugs had been convinced by Anne, as she promised to pay them much more money than Lily did. Obviously, she wouldn't let the chance slip by. She quickly got information from the two, and she asked them to cooperate with her in order to get her face back and also kill Lily. And just like that, Lily was killed. And to get her face back, Anne had put the mask on Lily. And that was what Lily deserved to get. As she tried to take advantage of the mask and ignore the warning from the mysterious woman, Anne finally got back her face, immediately burned the mask, and just like that, Lily and the mask had disappeared forever. Now, the mysterious woman was enjoying her trip to a beach, not knowing that her mask had been destroyed. She watched the news about the death of Lily and couldn't be more disappointed. She wanted to help Lily achieve her dream, to prove her talent with the help of the mask. But it seemed like she was just too greedy and selfish.
Erin was a gentle, caring, and hard-working woman. Despite being married, she was still living a difficult life. However, Erin had made a lot of money lately. Occasionally, she was away from home for a few days, then returned with a big bag of money and gave it to her husband. About her husband, there was not any word to describe accurately how terrible he was. Since the day he became an alcoholic, he hadn't worked at all, yet every day he was asking his wife for money. But Erin didn't complain about it. In fact, she really loved him. Just like the previous times, this time after a few days being away from home, Erin came back with a big bag of money. She quickly gave it all to her useless husband without keeping a penny for herself. Despite having a wife who truly loved him and had sacrificed many things for him, Ven didn't cherish her for that. Instead, he despised her. He asked his wife to go buy food and cook him a good meal while counting the money she gave him. However, Erin didn't feel angry, even just a bit. She took the basket and went to the market. As Erin went to the elevator, she met one of her neighbors. She was watching news on the small TV in the elevator. Looked like it was breaking news, as the reporter had to issue a warning advising people to be cautious when going outside. There was a bizarre incident that took place lately, as most of the victims were middle-aged married men. The victims were wrapped with giant spider webs, and their skeletons were the only things left of them. The female neighbor frowned, unable to hide the anxiety on her face. She nudged Erin and told her to update her husband on this news and tell him to be careful going outside. Erin didn't even worry a bit about the bizarre news. She was sure that her husband would not become a target of the murderer. Seeing Erin being so calm and relaxed, the woman didn't give up. She told Erin that her husband was lately harassing other women at his building apartment. Since Ven had been called to Erin, there must be a high chance that Ven had cheated on her. The woman also told Erin not to put too much faith in a man, but a person like Erin wouldn't be easily affected by those words. She always had faith in Ven and believed that he would never cheat on her. As usual, after a few days' trip away from home, Erin took the time to clean the house, cook and take care of her family. However, the man that she always trusted started to act strangely. In his phone, there were countless of messages from many sexy, beautiful women. And of course, the money that he received from Erin was used to flirt and solicit those women. But Erin didn't have a doubt about it. Always gave him all the money she made. The trip that took her half a month being away from home seemed like a good opportunity for this awful husband. Despite showing no emotion when Erin told him that she would be away for another 15-day business trip, he was actually extremely happy and excited to know that. With less than 3 days of Erin being away, Ven had spent 2 nights sleeping with other women. That day, he dressed up for a date with a hot girl. But the girl didn't show up, and it made Ven furious. But then, Ven saw a woman walking on the other side of the street. Ven indeed had a good taste in women. The one that caught his attention was a gorgeous woman with a slim body and milky white spotless skin. He immediately followed to have a talk with her. Somehow, as soon as the woman saw him, she was really surprised and panicked as the man asked her to come to his house. But instead of running away in fear, she agreed to follow Ven to his house. Ven was hypnotized by the beauty of the woman. He couldn't think of anything else and drooled uncontrollably as the woman agreed to his offer. He was so excited that he forgot to hide Erin's stuff in the house as he invited her to come inside. The woman quickly spotted the wedding photo of Erin and Ven in the living room, but Ven explained that he had divorced her a few days before, so he hadn't had the time to take it down. Having heard Ven's excuse, the woman scowled. Despite clearly showing annoyance on her face, she still asked him to go to the bedroom. Ven was surprised at first, but how could he turn down such an amazing offer from a beautiful woman? He quickly headed to the bedroom and quickly took off his clothes. As he was taking off his clothes, he complimented her. "Not only were you beautiful but also straightforward, but I love those who get straight to the point like you." But as soon as he turned around to see her, the scene in front of his eyes terrified him. It turned out that the gorgeous woman had turned into a giant spider. With her angry red eyes, the woman slowly approached Ven, who was trembling, scared. The woman screamed as she came close to him. She asked him why he had betrayed her. A moment later, Ven quickly got hung upside down. and could barely move. He started to be scared but couldn't find a way to escape, so he cried out loud, begging the Spider-Woman like a coward. Opposite to what is usually seen with a professional murderer, somehow, before killing Ben, the Spider-Woman showed emotional pain as tears rolled down her cheeks. Not letting Ven say his last words, the female spider quickly rushed to him and bit his neck. Being rolled up tightly by the spider's silk, Ven was helpless to get out and waited for his death. It seemed like the Spider-Woman not only bit him but also sucked all of the nutrients out of his body. In just a moment, the only thing left of him was just his skeleton. 2 days later, the stench of his corpse started to spread out, and the neighbors immediately found out about his death. The police quickly arrived at the scene but couldn't find any evidence about the mysterious killer. As soon as people found out about Ven's death, Erin finally returned despite not having been told about the death of her husband. It was strange that she said she would be away for half a month but then returned after just 5 days. The female middle-aged neighbor couldn't hide her sympathy for Erin. Erin was one that trusted and loved Ven more than anyone else. It must be difficult for Erin to come to terms with her husband's death. Being hesitant for a while, the woman eventually decided to tell Erin everything and comforted her. But the odd thing was, despite the death of her husband, Erin was still calm, as if she had known everything. There wasn't any painful expression of losing someone on her. Since the police couldn't find any trace of the murderer, they had to lift off the barricade and left. Erin finally got into her house, and in front of her eyes was a chaotic mess. But she didn't bother to clear it up. She went straight to the spot where the pictures of her and Ven were replaced. At that moment, Erin's body started to have a bizarre transformation. A white smoke came out and quickly covered her. The white smoke gradually faded away and Erin slowly appeared. She was so beautiful, but the strange thing was, she was the woman who Ven invited to his house 2 days before. So creepy. Feeling hurt, she cried for being betrayed and for a miserable life. It turned out that the strange thing had happened 2 years ago, during a picnic as she was posing for a picture. She was bitten by a strange type of spider. The spider looked different from other normal ones, both in terms of shape and color. Also on the back of it was printed with a red X sign. But the thing was, since the day that Erin got bitten, she began to develop such strange powers. For example, she could turn into a beautiful woman whenever she wanted to, or become a giant female spider with extraordinary powers. Life with a useless, unhelpful husband became more and more difficult. Erin had to use her superpowers to make money. Erin had started a kind of service that helped those women who were betrayed by their husbands to take revenge on them. And just like that, she started killing people and earned money to keep her husband with her. But while she was away, he dared to lure other women to the house and sleep with them. Thinking of what Ven had said to her 2 days before, Erin couldn't hold in her anger. She tossed aside all the valuable pictures on the floor. It seemed like Erin had finally awakened. She decided to retire from her immoral job, despite making a lot of money off it, as she knew that she could never be happy again. But this cruel life wouldn't let Erin do that easily. Erin suddenly felt great pain in her stomach. She went to the bathroom to check and find out that her abdomen had become strangely rough. She scaredly pulled up her shirt and was terrified. Somehow, her stomach appeared many faces and they were screaming miserably. They looked like those of the people that she killed. Erin had now appeared with a whole new look. She was gorgeous and it seemed like she was ready to embrace her new life as a single free woman. However, Erin was rarely happy as she always showed anxiety on her face. It turned out that she had reached out to a surgery center in the hope of adjusting her abdomen, but the costs were too high. Of course, the money that Erin had made for the last 2 years was more than enough for her to pay the treatment, but unfortunately she had to give it to Ven and as a result, he had spent all of it. Having no choice left, Erin had to continue with her old job, taking requests from women who got cheated on so she could have enough money for the surgery. That day, Erin had to meet a young man at a bar in the city. As she arrived, she saw him talking to a sexy waitress despite already having an appointment with her. Erin quickly approached, sat next to him, and carried out her plan. The beauty of Erin quickly caught the young man's attention, and him ignoring the female waitress. As the conversation between the two lasted for about 10 minutes, Erin suggested the two go to a deserted place. The young man excitedly accepted the offer. Then the two left the crowded bar. However, he didn't look like he was drunk at all. He tried to slow down so Erin could walk faster than him as he was behind, looking like he was up to something. Erin quickly found an alley so she could carry out her plan of killing him. Seeing the man being hesitant, she quickly made signs for the man to go ahead. Her figure slowly faded into darkness as she seductively waved at the man to go into the alley with her. The young man took out something as he approached her, as in front of him now wasn't a gorgeous woman, but a giant spider. Without saying anything, he rushed to the monster. With a thing in his hand, he hit it to the monster. It turned out that he was holding a taser. The electric shocks from the taser painfully hurt Erin. She didn't expect herself to fall into his trap. The electric became more powerful as the young man was tasering her. He turned around and called for help. The electric shock paralyzed Erin's whole body. The young man urged his accomplices to quickly finish her. Then, immediately, a group of police approached them. Erin, being painful, screamed and tried to escape herself from the electric wave. Then she strongly kicked the man. As the man was off guard, the female spider quickly shoved him with a leg. Immediately he was thrown to the side. When the police arrived, Erin had already climbed between walls and jumped up high. The policeman, as he finally got up, was furious and ordered the whole team to immediately chase after her. It turned out that he was the police chief. The team quickly chased her soon as they were given the order. But strangely, as Erin was just one step away from making a successful escape, she suddenly stopped. This time, not only her abdomen, but also her arm was aching badly, and a face slowly appeared. As Erin was stuck between the walls, the police underneath were preparing the weapons. Suddenly, a male voice came out of Erin's mouth. Seemingly, she had been controlled by that face. As she realized that it was her husband's voice, she tried to look around but saw no one. It turned out that the face appeared on her arm was that of a dead husband. Then kept babbling about the beautiful memories between them, even the things he did behind her back which made her extremely angry. Erin tried to silence him, but he still kept babbling, which made her head want to explode. The giant spider was still stuck between the two walls. She was suffering an agonizing pain and couldn't be more angry, while the face hidden behind the skin was delighted, satisfied, as it waited for a bad ending to happen to Erin. At that moment, many police had already arrived at the scene, pointing their guns at her. Erin was stuck between a rock and a hard place. Eventually, after a while, Erin decided to surrender. She was being escorted to a police car. She came face to face with a man who had trapped her. She furiously stared at him. It was probably the first time she failed to seduce a man. It turned out that his young man had been silently watching Erin for months and used himself as a decoy to make Erin appear. Erin was furious when she found out about it, and just like that, the murderer who had killed countless men was arrested. The crimes had been committed. It was only a matter of time for her to be brought to court. However, something bad happened. as she had went crazy during her days at prison. The doctors also confirmed that Erin had developed a mental illness during her serving time. The doctor said that Erin seemed to be hallucinating as she talked to herself every day, also cried and groaned. What the doctor said was true. Since the day Erin was locked up, every day was like a nightmare for her. She always shouted crazily, even banged her head against the wall till it bled, and then started crying and screaming again. Erin couldn't stop thinking about the moment when she took away the life of her husband. She couldn't forget the happy days filled with laughter that she once had. All those memories made Erin unable to stay calm, especially the faces that appeared on her body constantly resented her, which drove her crazy. Erin kept bowing down, apologizing to them, but the souls would never leave her alone. A pitiful woman who sacrificed everything for the love of her life had to accept a tragic outcome.